Welcome to the
Liability Liquor Lounge after hours, isn't it? What was it again?
The Liability Lounge after hours.
Perfect.
It's our bonus episode, our Christmas bonus episode. You know what we're doing today, Joe?
Well, I could imagine, but tell us.
One-way ticket to the naughty list.
Oh, boy.
We've got a special guest with us here today, and we've taken some viewer comments and questions discussing some legal points about Christmas, and so we're gonna jump into some of these things, and then near the end of the episode, we've got kind of we think it's a fun contest or a competition. We're gonna give one of our viewers a chance to win a little prize. So
pay attention. We're gonna give hints throughout the broadcast here. So where should we start? Who should we pick on first?
Oh, it's a long list here. I know who we shouldn't pick on. Mr. Claus here.
More on the good list.
Give me time.
Well, let's talk about that. The good list and the naughty list.
All right. So we've actually we've received a lot of comments and questions about the naughty list. A lot of people seem to be very concerned about it.
Well, if you're on the naughty list, you're identified. And is that defamation? Especially if Santa's wrong.
Right.
I'm never wrong.
Well, and actually that's an interesting point. We hear a lot about these defamation laws, and it's universally true. One of the most perfect defenses to defamation is that a statement that was made is true.
And it can be publicized if it is true, but be careful. You may suffer a lawsuit and to prove a point.
I had a related question or a related comment, Joe. One of our viewers asked, is there a due process right on the naughty list?
Well, what do you mean by due process?
So due process, just generally speaking, is when you have some sort of an action or you have an adverse action taken against you. Due process in its simplest form is just to know what the allegation is and have an opportunity to give your side of the story or speak your piece.
Well, it's out there, and history shows that happened to Santa one time, right?
It did.
Was Santa identified, and did Santa prove his case?
Well,
We can discuss that a little bit later.
That's a good question. Yes. So the naughty list, related question. Santa's been known on occasion to hand out lumps of coal to folks who are on the naughty list. Question becomes, is receiving a lump of coal an intentional infliction of emotional distress?
Well.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Well, Santa could do the reverse. It depends what kind of sandwich you give him, and it depends on if you give him milk or eggnog.
That's fair.
It's a dual sword here. We got to be careful. But what really happens? Can Santa be sued? Can Santa sue us? Let's talk about that. What are the ways Santa can sue the homeowner?
Well, I mean, if you've watched episode 2, you'll be familiar with premise liability. And so there's a lot of questions about how safe do you have to keep your home for Santa Claus when he arrives.
Well, you're talking about the chimney and all the hazards in your chimney. Do you have to clean it out?
Well, I would say that if you expect Santa Claus to come down your chimney, and if you want Santa Claus to come down your chimney, you have an obligation, a duty to make it reasonably safe for him to arrive through that mode of transportation.
Well, what ever tried cleaning this suit?
What about advising Santa if you put peanuts in one of the cookies you leave on the table? Do you have to advise him?
Well, I mean, with the amount of allergy that's out there, and I think you may want to at least give some indication. But do you have to go above and beyond? I mean, the next step on that question maybe, do you have to go above and beyond what is a more common allergy, a peanut allergy, and list all the ingredients that are contained within the cookies?
Well, I suppose he could identify a peanut butter sandwich, but maybe not in the cookie. You're right.
That's fair.
Well, what happens then if you supply Santa with eggnog instead of milk? And
Well, you might get a few more presents under the tree.
Well, what happens if Santa leaves your home? And it doesn't have to be Santa. It could be a guest. We've talked about that. You give him too much alcohol, and Santa gets in an accident in his sleigh. What happens?
Well, ultimately, a homeowner could be responsible. It depends. There are laws out there that deal with overservice at bars, the Dram Shop Acts, but the less commonly talked about version of that is what's called a social host liability or a social host ordinance, where local communities, and many of our local communities, have an ordinance in place that talks about what your responsibilities are if you invite somebody to your home and serve them alcohol. And it's one of those things that everybody should be aware of because if you overspike the eggnog and Santa crashes his sleigh later, or I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be crashing the sleigh. It could be anything that would be a natural effect of overservice. And you could be responsible.
And during the company holiday parties, if it's a mandatory party that you have to attend, if you're there, does the employer have the responsibility if you overdrink, or is that the bar's responsibility? Or if you have a private party, is the employer responsible or not? That's kind of a iffy question, but it's something that the employer and employees should be concerned about.
Right. And I suppose it would go to how reasonably the employer acted. I mean, if the employer identifies an employee that's clearly become overserved or is intoxicated or under the influence, the employer may have an obligation to step in. Joe, you and I both know that if there's an employee or an attendee at the party who's clearly become intoxicated, the bar's got some responsibility because their role and their responsibility is very well defined under the dram shop laws. That liability attaches as soon as they've served somebody who's obviously impaired or if they make an illegal sale.
Well, let's flip the coin now. How can we sue Santa?
Well, jurisdictionally, can we sue Santa?
What do you mean by that?
Well, the question becomes, so jurisdiction is one of the foundations in order to bring a case. You have to be within the jurisdiction, both subject matter jurisdiction and geographic jurisdiction. So you have to be authorized to bring the type of claim that you are, and you've got to be authorized to bring it in the place where you bring it. And the question becomes, the general rule of thumb is that you sue a defendant where they reside. Mr. Claus is up in the North Pole.
Oh, that'd be a tough one.
We'd have to determine, is he affiliated with any known jurisdiction? Is it its own jurisdiction? And what are the rules, the extradition rules, and other rules that go along with that?
Well, what happens if you're on the good list and Santa just doesn't show up?
It seems like a breach of contract to me.
We can sue him then, right?
I suppose we could. And, I mean, with regard to jurisdiction, if we have no other way to reach Santa or to bring the case in his jurisdiction, I suppose we could look at utilizing the long-arm statute.
The long arm.
Yeah, the long-arm statute. So basically what that is, it's a jurisdictional concept that says if there's nowhere else to bring it, or if Santa has sufficient contacts with our jurisdiction, even though we may reside somewhere else, we can, if he has sufficient contacts that it's fair to call him into court in our jurisdiction, we may be able to reach him and force him to come to Minnesota, or else face the possibility of a default judgment.
Has Santa ever been sued?
I think there has been a case or two.
There has been a case or two which we may fill the audience in a bit.
Yeah, there's one popular case that I think we'll get through.
And what defines Santa? I mean, can anyone put on a Santa suit and say, I'm Santa? Or is it copyrighted and you can't, do we have an illegal act here with Mr. Claus? Is it the real Claus? And does he have a right to be the only one to wear that suit?
Well, I haven't looked into this specifically. I'm not sure that a copyright on the red suit with the red hat exists. It's been out in the public for a long enough time that it would have entered what's known as the public domain.
I suppose if Walmart or one of the big box stores put Santa in a little bit different situation, maybe they could have a copyright. But in general, you're saying We're all free to be Santa.
Well,
Or dressed like
well,
Santa.
at least dress like him. I don't know if I could afford to deliver all those presents.
So what about how is our government involved in Christmas? And should they be? And can they be?
Oh, that's a big question. So one of the ways that that the Christmas concept has been litigated as it relates to the government is with regard to First Amendment speech and whether or not the state and local governments or the federal government are affiliated with Christmas, and does that tie the government to one religion or another religion, and does that violate the constitutional prohibitions against that, the separation of church and state? And the most common way that that's been litigated, or the most popular way I think that that's been litigated, is with regard to Christmas trees and Christmas decorations being displayed at government offices or courthouses.
Schools. And I have heard that some schools have stopped Christmas plays and Christmas presentations. Is that overreaction, or do they have? Are they right?
Well, I think if you're going to be very, very careful and very conservative, I mean, that may be one approach to take. The way the case law comes down, I don't think anybody's violating any constitutional requirements by putting on a Christmas concert or a Christmas play. But you've got to be careful to make sure that the school or the public entity isn't over-endorsing or adopting one religion as its official. That's where they need to be careful.
Well, and all the tuba players will be so happy next year because Santa Tuba Christmas can go on and on and on.
Tuba Christmas is a fantastic event.
They've had their 52nd year total, and I think on the range it's been 13 years in a row.
Wow, that's impressive for tuba groups.
So over the years, has the government recognized Santa as an entity, or as a person, or is it just a myth, and the government has stepped out of the picture?
Well, that's a good question. And should we get into our case analysis?
Yeah, we can go into it a little bit.
So there is a famous case where there was a gentleman who was making a claim that he was in fact the real, actual Santa Claus. And because of that claim and because of some of his conduct, he caught the attention of a local government actor who thought he might be maybe indulgent in the eggnog, or maybe worse, maybe a little bit crazy, and may have lost his capacity.
And then what? Who makes that decision? The president, the governor, or a court?
Well, in a lot of cases, it's a court decision, but they're called capacity cases, and really what ends up happening is if somebody is losing capacity, or if locally, if you think somebody may be a harm to themselves or to others, the county a lot of times will get involved, or the government will get involved and say, hey, we think you've lost your capacity, but you have a due process right to a hearing, a case before a judge, before the court, and have the court make a decision based on all the evidence that it collects, whether you have capacity or not.
So it's not based on Santa's magical powers and his ability to go out throughout the world and deliver gifts. Is he?
Nuts.
Yeah. Well put. Not our
Santa. No. Well, we might have just gotten some defamation trouble.
Well, what happened? What's the end result? What did our judicial system say about this?
So for our case illustration, it was an interesting question. So the way that the case sets up, the posture of the case, we have the gentleman who was making the claims or conducting himself like Santa Claus was brought into court, and the government attorney basically offered this position. He says, well, if you can prove that you're the actual Santa Claus, then we'll dismiss our case, you'll win. And if you can't, we're going to take that as an indication of your capacity, and you're going to lose. And what ended up happening was, just by chance, or maybe not by chance, the Postal Service delivered to the courthouse a large volume of letters addressed to Santa Claus that were delivered to the gentleman making the claims or conducting himself as the actual Santa Claus. And the ultimate ruling of the court, when the judge looked at all the evidence, he basically said, well, if the post office, who speaks for the federal government, recognizes you as the actual Santa, to the extent that they'll deliver you all of Santa Claus's mail, you must be the person. And in that case, in our case, his capacity was confirmed and he won.
And we have a Santa Claus.
We had Santa Claus in that case. And the idea was that the federal government recognized his identity, and the court wasn't in any position to overrule or overrun the federal government. So
The government says, long live Santa Claus, right?
fair enough.
Okay. So what the end result of the Christmas celebration and the holiday celebration, we should talk a little bit about, Hanukkah and the rest of them. But what our discussion today incorporates all of those religions, about the liabilities and the responsibilities and so forth throughout the Christmas season. Is that fair enough?
No, I agree with that. And as we practice, our cases cannot, by both federal and state law, our cases can't be governed by a religious affiliation or anything like that. Everybody's free, obviously, under the Constitution, both state and federal, to practice and celebrate how they choose. And I think we should just be glad for the holiday season and glad to celebrate the way that we choose to celebrate. And allow others to celebrate the way they'd like to.
And we're not picking on the Easter Bunny. We're just celebrating Christmas, right?
We're trying to get him on the podcast in the spring.
There you go. That's a lead-in. What are we going to do for New Year's?
Well, we're going to need a baby, and we're going to need an old man.
And maybe go to Tom and Jerry's and do it?
That's not a bad idea either.
Well, to kind of wrap it up, what's our trick question for our audience here?
So, not a trick question. Our contest is, we would like you to comment on the video or the podcast, however you view or take it in, if you can identify our test case with the judicial determination of Santa Claus and his capacity. If you know what the source of that court case is and can identify the individual in that case that was acting or conducting himself and making claims to be the actual Santa Claus, we need the name of that character and we need the source of where that litigation came from,
The source, you mean the name of the case,
yeah,
somewhat.
Yep. The name of the source where that case came from. And so comment both those things on the video that you're watching, or comment on the audio that you're listening to, and we will select the or Santa Claus will select the winner, and there's very little due process in this, but we will select the winner. And that person will receive a little gift from the Liability Lounge after hours. What that little gift will be? $50 gas card.
Oh, is that enough?
Well, it'll get you like 4 gallons of gas.
Well, I think that we've given enough clues that the first person that makes the call will probably have the right answer. So
I agree with you.
and with Google,
It makes it a little bit
Yeah.
easier.
Okay.
Well, Joe, it was fun doing this. Mr. Claus, thank you for coming down
Thank you very much.
and participating. If you can, pass a message along to us for the Easter Bunny, or
I draw the line.
Tell the elves hi, and thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.